great and all-powerful Saturn. I consider this planet to be the greatest of all planets, not just from the way it looks, which is absolutely stunning, but in the energy it represents to us, to our world, and most importantly, to our karma. Saturn has an interesting mythological story with the sun itself. Saturn was actually the illegitimate child of the sun, after the wife of the sun, Sandhya, made a clone of herself called Chaya in order to disguise her real self and have an opportunity to escape the intense heat of the sun for some time. In that period, she was gone. Sun made love with Chaya, and Chaya gave birth to Saturn. Although this child had an unusual appearance, dark in color, that Sun didn't like very much, and Saturn ended up being somewhat of an outcast of the family. This then angered Saturn, but eventually the wife Sandhya returned and confessed that she had done the most terrible thing of cloning herself. But in that time, Chaya had an intense devotion towards the god of destruction, Shiva, and Saturn also joined Chaya in this devotion. Shiva saw the injustice that had happened to Saturn, so he blessed Saturn by elevating him to the position of taking up one of the places in the sky alongside the other planets, and he would be given the role of governing the karma of all beings as the great Lord of Justice. This then leads us to a deeper understanding of Saturn as the Lord of Karma, also being the Lord of Justice and Time. In the kingdom, Saturn rules over the servants of the kingdom. And in our modern day world, this would be the state and all the so-called lower classes, all the masses, all the workers, all the union members, the physical laborers, the people living below the means, the sick and the misfortunate. These are the people who really run our world. They make the things happen, because who else would be doing all these jobs if everyone were a king? Without the masses, there are no kings, there are no kingdoms. Saturn rules over the masses. The color black is associated with Saturn, and we can see that the world of law is associated with this color. So Saturn being the Lord over our karma, this is the modern day judge who decides our fate according to the good and bad we have done. Karma simply means one's actions, and Saturn being the Lord of Justice makes sure everyone gets what is due to them. Like the old saying that God watches over everything that one does, and everything is recorded and accounted for. So Saturn will punish you if you have taken the crooked path in life or the next life. So all the people we see that are faced with so much struggle have a certain karmic debt that they are paying for, as these were the deeds they performed, and they are getting back what is due. As much as Saturn will punish severely those that have been on the evil road, he is the chief of justice. So he also rewards immensely those that have been righteous, humble, and observing the basic virtues of chastity, humility, charity, diligence, kindness, patience, and temperance. If one starts to live a high moral code, Saturn will never trouble such a soul. All the people who rise high in life are rising not because of luck, but they are rising because they deserve to be in that position due to the positive karma they have performed either in this life or the previous one. So we all have some negative karma we have done, which is why we are all incarnated here on our earth. We have to come here and face our struggle and karma so that we can learn the lessons, purify, and settle once and for all this karmic debt. For this reason alone, I consider Saturn as the greatest of all planets, because without truth and justice, we could never grow, and there would be no accountability, and mayhem will be all around, All the good people would go unnoticed, and all the people following the crooked path would never be judged and punished. Saturn is also a malefic like Mars, so this energy is also associated with difficulties in life, such as poverty, death, and misfortunes. Again, this energy is presented to us so that we can grow and learn our lessons here. So the funerals and the graveyards are the places of Saturn. These are the harsh truths we must face in life, and by going through such struggles, only then we can grow. The positive manifestations of Saturn is the mastery it can inspire. Saturn rules over discipline and following the high moral way. Now, all the people who become masters in their chosen fields, or someone pursuing something for many years and decades to achieve perfection in that discipline, becomes promoted by Saturn, as he is keeping account of all efforts made by such souls. And as we see, with things which require great efforts end up standing the test of time. Example is the classical music, which is still very much alive in our modern day world and still growing and thriving, because to get into classical music it requires a great deal of learning, focus, and a lot of effort, unlike popular music, which comes and goes, which is the domain of Venus. Saturn is the classical music, which is serious, enjoyed mostly by highly learned and people of older age, as it takes a lot of time to master. Having said this, Saturn also rules the elders of our society, people who have seen much and learned much in life, who are now in their old age and providing the guidance to the young on following the correct way in life. Saturn is all about discipline and hardcore reality, and the growth factor in our lives. As long as you work hard and follow the moral, correct way in life, you will reach the heights you were destined for. This is the greatness of Saturn. Everything is accounted for. Everything we do is watched closely and observed by this planet. So the things you see in the world are merely a reflection of all the actions or the karma we have performed. In the Hebrew language, Shabbat directly translates to Saturn. So the Jewish nation has deep karma to this planet as they observe the Sabbath, and they have a culture of discipline, from dietary laws to business ethics and their general conduct. And we can see Saturn has blessed this nation, and the rabbis and the men are always wearing black as a symbol of Saturn. This is just an example of a nation which is following the divine laws, although anyone who follows a higher moral road will eventually reap the fruits of our karma. Brahma, the Lord of creation, is the deity presiding over the planet according to Parasha, although Shiva, the destroyer, is also in association, which shows the benevolent as well as the destructive energies of Saturn, as one who teaches like Brahma and can also destroy like Shiva. The Greek equivalent would probably be Kronos, the god of time. Saturn also rules over time. You can see the manifestation of this in our modern world with the social media app TikTok, denoting time, TikTok. From its name, you can see that Saturn is the energy of this app, where we see the everyday normal people free to express themselves and gaining popularity and a following of their own. Kronos was also known to devour his children, which shows the restrictive energy of this planet, constantly throwing challenges and obstacles in our way, as everyone has to go through these tests to truly know if they will be capable of this task and journey. Shani Dev is the name the Vedic people have given to this planet. As the Lord of Time, Saturn also governs over the skeletal system. Skeletons can be said to almost be able to live forever, long after the rest of the body has decayed. Capricorn is the sign Saturn has rulership over. These are the energies of the 10th house of working, status, and karma, highlighting the energies of Saturn. Capricorn is also the sign of longevity, showing things which remain for a very long time, but ultimately the influence we have on this world. Aquarius is another sign ruled by Saturn, representing the energies of the 11th house, of social networks, our colleagues, and our income. Both the 10th and 11th houses show a lot of power and influence, as these are the areas we all desire to have. Although we can see that Saturn will not make it easy for one to reach these heights, a lot of work, discipline, struggle are the only paths to reach these houses. Aries is the debilitation sign of Saturn. These are the fiery and royal energies of Sun and Mars. Saturn does not do well with VIP status and the quick nature of Mars. Saturn is on the ground, doing the everyday work like everyone. Libra is a sign where Saturn performs really well, as this is the sign of judgment represented by its symbol. Also the sign of long-term partnerships and deals. Libra is the western direction. The countries in the west have an influence of Saturn, as Saturn also rules over in the industrial age and getting things done. Our modern day democracy is also the energy of Saturn, which is opposite the energy of Sun, the king. We can see the overwhelming dominance of Saturn today in our democratic societies, as anyone has equal right to vote for whom to be in charge. Our politicians are also Saturn people, because in truth they are civil servants and not connected to royalty at all. Hence we vote them in and out. We also insult these people despite the status they have, because they still belong to the general population. After receiving all the gifts from the different planets, the soul, the mind, the intellect, the body, the reproductive system, the knowledge of the divine, Saturn comes in to test what we have done with our incarnation and all these gifts we have, and judges us accordingly to our karma performed. The final planet coming to deliver what is due to us. Saturn then becomes the great teacher, the practical teacher, the real-life scholar, teaching what is most important, the actions we perform in this life, how we treated ourselves, how we treated others, and how we treat this world. This is the greatest lesson for a being who is incarnated here. Now, up next, we will look at the nodes of the moon, the North Node and the South Node, also known as Rahu and Ketu. Please subscribe to the channel, comment, like, and share. I'd be most grateful.